Hello and welcome everyone. This is DEJI360. I am Deji. For a very long time now, there's been a strong and passionate debate over how much Nigerian lawmakers earn as salaries and allowances. In fact, no one could tell for certainty the monthly or annual take-home pay of a Nigerian senator or member of the House of Representatives. But it appears we now know. London-based economics magazine recently published a detailed report of the earnings of lawmakers across the world in relation to the GDP of their countries. Well, you already know who came tops on that chart. The report puts Nigerian lawmakers as the highest paid in the world in relation to Nigeria's GDP. By the way, as at 2011, Nigeria's GDP per capita stood at approximately $1,600, and that is according to the World Bank. Now, according to the report, the average annual earnings of a Nigerian lawmaker is $189,500. That's excluding allowances. Now, if you juxtapose that with the country's GDP per person, it is 116 times the GDP. Not only that, Kenyan lawmakers came second on the chart. The annual take-home basic pay of a Kenyan lawmaker is $74,500, but that is 52% less than what the Nigerian lawmaker gets. In a country where unemployment is sky high and people live on less than $2 a day, going by those figures, the lawmakers are guzzling a huge chunk of the country's budget. And that is, of course, when you consider that there are 109 senators in the Senate and 360 members in the House of Representatives. The figures are really scary. Joining me on the program right now is one of the Nigerian lawmakers, Honorable Bimbo Daramola, who is the Deputy Chairman, House Committee on MDGs. Honorable Daramola, thank you very much. Congressman Daramola, thank you very much, because you prefer to call yourself a congressman.
Yes, because I think my job is clearly defined. When you ask a lecturer, who are you? He says, I'm a teacher. Okay, nobody says I'm a lecturer. I prefer to be called a congressman because that's where I serve. That's what I do at this point in time. And giving me the acronym HON and all of that, I feel that you don't become honorable because you won an election. What you do within the period of time that you're in the House, for the 4 years that you're there, is what determines whether you're honorable or not.
Very good. I mean, even though that's not what we're talking about. Now, I want to get your reaction to that report. Quite disturbing. Of course, it's not a new report. When it came out, there was a huge uproar in the country. Lawmakers earning 100, Nigerian lawmakers earning. Just give me your reaction to the report first.
Well, Deji, thank you very much for the opportunity, and it feels good to be here. Nice place, nice effort. You see, I heard your preview, and I feel that you've succeeded in throwing up a lot of issues. And are we talking about the earnings with regard to the gross domestic product, or we're talking about isolated cases of what we earn as salaries or allowances or running costs?
Of course, I mean, we're talking about your earnings now in relation to the GDP.
Great.
But first of all, let me ask, how much exactly do you earn? Because the report, for instance, says a lawmaker in Nigeria, the average you earn as your basic salary is $189,500.
What does that translate to into Naira?
Well, into Naira, that would translate, I actually have a calculator here.
I'd like to have that in
Naira. So let's do the calculation.
Okay, I think it's done already.
Okay, no, we're still going to come to that. That is the annual take-home pay of a senator. But let's just do the calculation at 160 Naira per dollar. Let's multiply that now by 189,500. So that gives you 30,320,000.
Divided by 12.
No, but that's the annual. Okay, yeah, of course. Let's divide that by 12. So that is 2,526,000. That is the basic salary anyway. Yes, that's what the report says. That is the basic salary.
That's not correct. That's not correct.
No, but the report says that is the basic salary.
That is what, you see, we need to really give us an opportunity to defend this.
Okay.
I stand before here and before God and national television, and I say to you that my basic salary is 120 million. By the time the deductions are done, it comes to 760,000 naira.
That's per month?
Yes, I wish
when the tax deductions are made?
The tax deductions, the deductions on car allowances, on housing loan and all of that. Yes.
It comes up to how much?
760,000 naira. I can, if I have a chance, I will put on my phone and I'll show you my last alert for the last month. If you give me a chance, I'll do it. If you give me a chance, I am going to show it. My last alert was 760,000 naira, and that's what everybody earns as a salary.
In the House of Representatives?
Absolutely correct. My name is Bimbo Daramola. Go and find out.
Not 100, not 2 million, 500 and...
You see, and this is one of the reasons why I feel that we need to take this headlong. Thus far, people have tried to shy away from, oh, what we earn, what we earn, what we earn. And I've told you, and I've told a few people who would like to listen. You see, we're in an information age where you can virtually get everything that you want. And for Nigerian editors and media, with due respect, to begin to latch on to what the Economist out of London says, I think it's a reflection of how far we've sunk in the practice of journalism. It should be investigative. People should dig in deeper. The devil is in the details. And I will expect that if people are gone and bothered a little bit to scratch beyond the surface, they will have seen it. Those figures are not right. They are cooked up figures.
So if 760,000 naira is your basic salary,
yes.
that's for the month. Let us look at the allowances now, because you just said, you know, the devil is in the detail. That's quite true. And most people would say, well, when you talk about basic salaries, don't expect to see much. That where you actually see much is in allowances. So let's look at the allowances. I want us to call back. I'm going to bring back the slide of what a senator actually takes home at the end of the day. That's it. You have the basic salary of a senator at 2.5 million naira. Now, we're not looking at the basic salary of a senator now. I want us to look at those allowances. You have hardship allowance, which is 50% of basic salary. Look at those allowances now. You have hardship, constituency allowance, furniture allowance, newspaper allowance, wardrobe allowance, recess allowance, accommodation, utilities, domestic staff, entertainment. Are those the allowance? And then you have personal assistance, vehicle maintenance, leave allowance. Then are those the allowances that a member of the House of Representatives is also entitled to?
I think pretty much so, yes. I think so.
Pretty much so. Okay, let's go back to the first slide again. If my director, okay, now, hardship allowance, you get 50% of basic salary, is that the case?
I'm not sure now. It must, I want to believe so. And I'm not being evasive here. I don't want to say a yes or a no, but I think what applies at the Senate most likely will apply here. And I think we have all of these subheads in our running costs. Anyway.
Okay.
And then I need to quickly correct you.
Yeah.
It is not allowances to us. It's called running cost.
Yeah, of course, but the money still goes to you. You spend the money. The Senate, I mean, the House, for instance, doesn't spend the money for you. In the case of the Senate does not spend the money for the senator.
When you take running costs, we need to let us enlighten Nigerians. When you take running costs are retired. You return, you say, okay, this is how I spend the money. For the Senate that you have showed, in the United States of America, the average senator has a running cost of $2.6 million. Yes, check, go to, let all the guys watching this television right now, Google Congress salaries and allowances by either HC or something like that. If you just Google Congress salaries and allowances, if you don't see it like that, I am willing to resign.
Something else I want, just take a look at that. Furniture allowance, 300% of basic salary.
Yes, when I was in the bank, when I was in Savannah Bank, I was getting salary, all of those things you have there. When I was in the Savannah Bank, maybe not recess, maybe not utilities, but I'm too sure my bank manager at the time used to get utilities, he used to get domestic staff, but as an officer way back in Savannah Bank, I get all of those things that you profiled there.
And then you have accommodation, 200% of basic salary.
Everything you have there. When I was in Savannah Bank, I was getting all of those things.
So for you, do you think this is too much? Let's go to the next slide now. Do you think it is too much? I mean, if we can go to the next slide, let's take a look at it. And there you have it, personal assistance. How many personal assistants are you allowed as a member of the House of Reps?
Well, there are two. There are two broad categories. You have the ones that are paid for by National Assembly, okay, and there are 5 of them. You have this SLA, Senior Legislative Aid. You have Legislative Aid, Personal Assistant, Secretary, and I think one other person. I think it comes to about 5. And then The other one, which is not...
And of course, you're expected to pay those personal assistance from the 25% of basic
No,
salary.
Those ones are taken care of by National Assembly.
Assembly.
The other ones that you cannot ever be able to give an X amount, an X number to, are the ones in the constituencies.
But you have
All of those-
constituency allowance.
Yes.
So the constituency allowance, what are you expected to do with it?
Maintain your, do all the works, all your parliamentary works that's got to do with your constituency.
Because we know of some members of the House of Reps and even senators who really don't run their constituency offices. I mean,
That's a
the
different-
constituency offices at law.
Deji, that's a different
Let's
issue
take a look
altogether.
at the next slide again and see
right.
how much, for instance, the constituency allowances is 200% of basic salary. So in the case of a senator, what the senator gets, mind you, this is for every month anyway.
It's not every month.
No,
it's
okay,
quarterly.
So, yeah, this is, yeah. Oh, it's okay.
It's
Constituency
quarterly.
allowance is quarterly.
All of these things, you see, I really need you to correct that. It is not an allowance. It is not designated as allowances that goes to you. It is called running cost, and that is what is called all over the world, parliamentary. You have to also, listen, the parliament is a different enclave of itself, and it's got all of those tiny details of what you call this, what you call that, what you call that. So when you come into, and I'm not dressing it nice, this is what people can verify, you know? So when you say constituency allowance, it means that I collect it and I keep it to myself. That is not correct.
What are you expected to do with it?
I am supposed to do so much of work from my constituency, get all the information that I need to work with, do research, maintain the constituency, maintain the office, maintain the guys who go out there to find out.
Is someone supposed to monitor how you spend this money?
Absolutely, that is why they are retired. Maybe you didn't find out that. I just told you that I was on United States sponsored 7-state tour of the United States of America when we got elected in 2011. And I met Senator Chris Coons of North Delaware. And I asked him, when I was going on that trip, I said, I am going to really dig and research into how much our contemporaries also earn from all over the world. And incidentally, I went to America and I said, okay, distinguished Senator, what do you earn? And he said, X amount of money as salary. And then this is the running cost to run my office, $2.6 million. Google Congress, salaries and allowances. If you don't find it there, Bimbo Damola will step down.
You see,
so what we do is this. Let me tell you. I also understand this. Let me also give you a fresh dimension to this.
Okay.
I understand the way things are. We are at an all-time low situation in this country. You just referred to a $2 thing. I don't think it's even correct. I think it's a little bit lesser than that. An average poor of the poorest in Nigeria lives below 50 cents. I get on the streets and I see people and I go like, hey, how are we going to deal with this? The country, if we're not careful, and I'm not sounding like a doomsday preacher, I am conscious of the fact that things are very bad. And you don't want a situation where you have the really rich there at the expense of the poor and the helpless people. It's a misnomer. What we're talking about is that to match the realities of Nigerians who don't get paid, ASUU is on strike, lecturers don't get paid well, doctors don't get well paid, and all of that. And you create a situation where you have an enclave of 489 people
exactly
who
earning so much.
earn so much.
That's it.
But the truth of the matter is this. As I sit with you, Deji, as I sit with you here, I can tell Nigerians, 80%, I can tell you, 80% of my colleagues are very exposed to their banks. Why? It is not their lifestyles alone. Every day, you also have to understand that you must match that. The reality that you find on the street eventually hits home.
Tell me of the kind of pressure you as lawmakers face.
Oh, my word. That's the one that you don't. Listen, you every day, by the minute account, you are faced with humongous. Only last week, Senator Judy on his page on Facebook said if a senator earns $5 million per day, he most naturally won't be able to meet it. I'll tell you this. One, you pay for school fees of people that you never knew, you never met, and the only condition that they need that makes them eligible to be able to access you is the fact that you represent them.
Maybe that's part of. Could that be part of what you spend a huge?
So if now let's do a simple math. Over 100,000 people voted for me to become members of representatives. Divide 100,000 naira by 29 million naira that you're bandying around and see what it works out to.
But it's not as if you give money to this 100 and something.
Listen, my brother. I've just cited one. Are you going to talk about medical interventions? I wish I knew. I would have come prepared. I would have showed you. Listen, when I had what we call empowerment programs last year, and virtually all members don't just do that.
Would you then say that the Nigerian lawmakers underpaid? On that, given the circumstances and the scenario you've painted?
My honest approach would be that it would have been better if Nigerians get to understand what a legislator should do.
But do you think you're underpaid?
Well, if you continue,
and some people have said you sit only for 185 days and to earn so much.
Let me. It's like telling a consultant. If you say a consultant comes, Laguna Hospital calls one consultant and says, okay, fine, I have a patient who needs to get his kidney checked up, and the guy says, okay, fine, I work by the hour, and I am going to take 50,000 by the hour. What are you going to do? And then you need to also match this with the output of the legislators. I have said we function. Listen, it's a dysfunctional system, and it's a cumulative picture that is telling on us. One, how many people understand what a legislator should do? You're not supposed to do roads. You're not supposed to get people to feed people. You're not supposed to do that. That's not your job. I also asked my contemporaries abroad, how exposed are you to your constituents? And they said, nobody. When they see the fact that I'm building a 38-bed hospital, it's not my job. When former Congressman Donald Payne saw that I was building, and he said, is that your job? When you do hospitals, you do roads, you do medical intervention.
And you just have to do that.
And you just got to do it.
Or else?
Or else you don't get voted in. or else people feel that you've not performed. You buy cars for people. You marry for people. You sponsor weddings. You sponsor funerals.
And that's what people say. Because you do all of this, so you're sending the impression that you're making so much
Listen, you are caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. It's between the rock and the hard place.
Because from what you're saying, yes. It's like, if you remember, whoever is running for the House of Representatives or the Senate, for instance, could possibly go in there rich and come out poor.
Absolutely. A whole number, and then you see...
And you have so many people killing themselves again.
That's the thing. Again, I told you it's a dysfunctional system. Let me tell you this, and you don't have to look too far. Get on the streets of Nigeria today and find out, do a random spread, a check, and you will discover that a whole lot of legislators, parliamentarians, have ended up worse than they were. I'll give you a personal example. Before I got into this job, and I no regrets, I don't have any regrets. I thank the people who voted for me, and I'm continuing to... Listen, I asked for this job anyway. I asked for this job. So if I wanted to... Listen, when I was into private practice, everybody knew that I was very comfortable. I had 4 brand new cars that I was using of my own. Today I have 2 cars. One of them is one of the official vehicles given to me by National Assembly, and then the other one I have.
But
But I am not going to judge my output by pecuniary benefits or what comes to me. I'm going to judge that by what level of contributions I've been able to provide.
2015, would you want to come back again?
The choice is for my constituents to make.
But if your constituents ask you to, in spite of the fact that things are so difficult for you as you've painted.
It's like asking Jesus Christ, if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
Really?
Yes. I mean, there's a price to be paid. This is just like aspiring to martyrdom.
And for you, this is a price you're willing to pay any day, anytime.
Well, if it ensures that Nigeria gets better. And listen, Nigerians have not actually quantified what we've been able to put in. Even though functioning at suboptimal level, and of course trying to say that we get so well paid, the truth of the matter remains the fact that if there was no National Assembly, most likely MENA will have slipped through your fingers. If there was no National Assembly, regardless of what became of Farouk for subsidies scam, whatever it was, now, if there was no National Assembly, we wouldn't be talking about saving this country for 150 billion. And then I need to quickly tell you this. It was Sanusi who started this bunkum. And I'm sure it is bunkum because he said National Assembly takes 1/3 of the budget of this country.
Yeah.
That is balderdash. The budget of this country is 4.9 trillion, 4.7 trillion, 4.8 trillion. It's averaging over the past 3 years between 4.7 and 4.9. How can 150 billion be 1/3 of that budget, for God's sake? How can? 1/3, 150 billion be 1/3, we'll have just said 1.5 trillion. And then that does not go into paying the wages of National Assembly of 489 people. It goes into the payment of the senators, the House of Reps, 4,000 hands-on staff who report at National Assembly every day. He also goes into maintenance of National Assembly and National Monument. He also goes into that institute called NILS, also to provide capacity for the parliament. This is where the money goes. All those investigative committees and ad hoc sessions that Nigerians watch and see the truth and get the real life pictures on television, they are funded out of the 150 billion, and that budget has remained 150 billion for the past 7 years.
Congressman Bimbo Daramola, thank you very much for coming on the program. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for sharing your insights with us. And thank you very much, too, for at least disclosing your salary. It's actually the first time a member of the House of Representatives would actually say how much.
There's nothing to hide. Or we bring everything up on the table and let Nigerians know that.
Welcome back. Now, he used to be a household name in the Nigerian music industry some 10, 15 years ago. In fact, no A-list event was complete without the name Mike Okri on it as the performer. But then all of a sudden, Mike Okri surprisingly disappeared from the music scene and from the country altogether. He relocated to the United States of America. Well, in search of the golden fleece, we do not know, because everyone in the country at the time thought Mike Okri was doing very well and relocating abroad should not have been an option for him. But he did relocate to the United States, and the stories we heard about his situation in the U.S. were far from savory. Mike Okri is now back home, and the good news is that he is relaunching his music career. He's just released a single which is the remix of that popular track called Omoge. The remix features Omaomi. Well, if I'm permitted now to put it this out, simply say, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Okri now joins me in the studio. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming. I mean,
Yes.
it's quite nice to have you back home at last.
At last, yes, at last.
But tell us, why exactly did you relocate? Because people felt you were doing very well at the time, and that, you know, musicians were very big people at that time, even though they are bigger now, that people like you should not have left at all. That you were doing very well.
If you ask me, I'll probably tell you I have no reason. But at the same time, there's sometimes that you just listen to your inner heart about relocating. My case was different. I could say partly spiritual, because I made a choice at a time when, of course, my name was everywhere here in the country. And but again, I have this little excuse to give, most especially to my ardent fans who probably will be wondering. I figure out too that at that time, not very many things were happening to the Nigerian musician, quote unquote, as regards international acclaim. And I needed, that was a time you could go take your works out of the country. Apart from the few like Fela and Anikulapo Kuti, and then his son. Of course, how did Femi make the huge break? He had to take his music out to France. And that was a dream for many would-be A-list artists at the time. And I happened to be one of them. Unfortunately, the reverse became the case. Because as at that time, you were taking your music to an audience that wasn't willing to really trade theirs for yours. And the reason was obvious. So it was bad timing, okay? So my intent was to stay for just 2 years. Unfortunately, I stayed for 12 years.
So the intention was to go abroad, promote your music,
and then bring it back home. Yes, in a bigger form. And because that was the norm. The likes of Morikante did it, and so names like Salif Keita, Baba Mal. You know, so that was an obvious.
So your music was not accepted when you got to America. Was that a rude shock to you?
No, it wasn't that it wasn't accepted, but it was bad timing in the case of where the hip-hop craze was off the roof. And of course, you know one thing about that, America was a bad choice. You understand me? It wasn't like the UK or Europe that is open to all brand of music. So I figured that you could be happening within and in neighboring Caribbean, but that will leave you as a second-class kind of musician.
Well, some people would have said, well, some people would say, if they were faced with such a challenge, they'd probably rebrand their music and
No,
just
there
rebrand.
there was no need to rebrand because I was unique, and that would have made me, look like someone who was giving in to pressure. I wasn't really under pressure in terms of music. It was just that the opening wasn't there. Because, you see, you could be in the wrong place, in the right place at the wrong time, and it's just as bad as you getting there at the right time, at the wrong time.
Why didn't you come back? When you discovered High Life was not the in thing in America at the time, and that High Life was still very big in Nigeria, and that you were a very big name in the country at the time, people would have thought, well, after seeing that it was very difficult in the United States to sell your music, bring it back home. And
it was not just about that. I had to look at it both ways. I was also trying to look at things more critically, even back home. Because back home, some of the things that we dreamt of and hoping that it would take root were not forthcoming. So it means that it was a rude shock for me here back at home, as well as overseas. And I'll tell you frankly, it's not all that glitters as gold. Over here, the fans, my fan base was huge, and quite huge, and I thank God for that. But the event companies and other corporate companies were not willing to move or invest into the business. I think the sudden break was due to the fact that telecommunications kind of changed everything. And as at that time, I was almost like 7 years out of the country. I was already doing other things. So I figure it was just that timing that changed the dynamics. But that didn't have to make me start rushing home immediately. I knew there were other things I had to develop about myself. I have family to take care of because I was already a father and all that.
Now, I want you to right here and now confirm some of the stories we heard. As you heard in my opening there, I said some of the stories we heard were quite unsavory. There was a story about Mike Okri being a cab driver in the USA. Some people actually came back from the US and said they saw Mike Okri driving taxi around and all of that, and that things had really gone bad for him.
Well, not bad. It's all part of life. But again, if I drive a taxi, and so what? But then I never drove a taxi. I did other odd jobs. I mean, when you go to a country that is not yours and you run out of money, of course you're bound to do something. That's worse than going into crime. But all I did was, yes, I washed dishes. I say that proudly because it's not as bad as, driving a taxi is not as bad as that, and neither are both. The point I'm trying to make is that, the fact remains that even if I was born with a golden spoon, you see, when you find yourself in a dire situation, what do? You just have to manage through. That was the same period, permit me, the 9/11 happened. A couple of things happened. And of course, I overstayed. I couldn't come back home because the bottom line would be that all efforts throughout the years would have been wasted. So I needed to manage what I have. And part of it was, okay, fine, if I have to live in what they call God's own country, it means I have to go back to school, further my course.
So you did go back to school?
Of course, yes.
And you earned a degree?
I earned a master's degree as well. And some of the things that opened the doors for me was that I never left music because of my passion for music.
Okay, so all this while, were you doing maybe you were doing gigs somewhere, you were getting invited to do shows and all of that?
I was doing both home gigs. When I mean home gigs, Nigerians will invite me, communities will invite me. I also got involved with me doing most of my gigs on a cruise ship, to the Caribbean, because I have to get employed, working on a cruise ship and singing not just my repertoires. I was singing other repertoires as well. So that kept me going. I also got involved in church music, which made that's a story for you in the aspect of whether I'm a pastor or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I sing gospel or not.
We're definitely going to come to that. Yeah.
So the moment I stand to gain everything, not losing any.
Quite surprising, because you talked about the gospel aspect now of your music. Let's talk about that. We read somewhere that, of course, you've also confirmed that you're coming out with a 14-track album, and that you're now into gospel music. This is quite
Very.
It's a radical break from what you used to do. I mean, you're a high life musician. We know the content of your music, the lyrics, and all of that. Even Omelge and the others, and now gospel.
If it's gospel, as people might presume, then why the idea of Omelge? That's contradictory enough. But the point is, it's inspirational music. I never said I was coming out with a gospel album.
Okay.
The idea is for me to come with meaningful music. Music that makes sense. And that's what I stand for. You know, the 14-track album is a combination of all kinds of music that makes your head spin for good. So
Let's talk about the remix,
yes.
Omelge. You know, what informed your decision now to feature Omaomi? Were you trying, could it be a situation, could it be you discovered your music might no longer be relevant in Nigeria today, and so that the best way to relaunch yourself and to make it probably more relevant is to get, you know, a younger art like Omaomi to feature on it?
I wouldn't say that was a point. I would say that good music will always be good music any day. Omaomi, for instance, is a wonderful singer. I respect her voice so much. I wouldn't say I knew her personally at the time. Omaomi to me was just like any other beautiful female singer like YJ and the rest of Tiwa Savage. But it happened that I could say that it's a promise I made to a dead friend. Who happens to be a journalist as well. Few weeks before he passed on, we were just on a conference discussion over what should be done and what shouldn't. And he came up with the idea that, oh, Mike, I'll need you to do some of your old works again. I said, well, and at that time, yes, and as at that time, I wanted to have him as a consultant for me. And then he said, well, Mike, I'll need you to do Omelge with Omaomi. I said, Omaomi, why? And just the same question you asked. And I said, yeah, because it's a song that I want you to remix and so forth. And that's Bonaya Amadi for you. And then because of the promise I made him, that was the reason why. And then good enough, when I met Omaomi, she was a darling. I mean, someone who really has a lot of respect and, you know, honor. And of course, when I invited just one call, and then she came over without stressing me out. And then she did a great job, and I respect her for that.
Let's talk about when you came back. You're back now, and you look at the music scene today, it's completely changed. It's just no doubt at all. It's not the same music scene you left some 10, 15 years ago. Look at the quality.
Let me ask you, what would you say have changed?
Well, I mean,
there's so much money flowing around.
There's so much
that's all I see.
And the craze now is hip hop and what have you. But tell me, and people have said, well, yeah, even though there's so much money flowing around in the music industry today, that when you talk about the quality of the content, the lyrics, it's all gone so very down.
Yes.
What would be your own personal assessment of
course,
the kind of music we have in the country?
That's the reason why some of us are still very relevant today. I mean, some of the things that, of course, will keep my cooker in the minds of many, both veterans, people old enough to be grandpas, as well as the young, who through their mothers or parents were able to listen to our kinds of music, is because our lyrics are meaningful. It's because we play music that is evergreen. I would say I'm very fortunate to be in the class of such kind of musicians. And over the century, the reason Beethoven and the rest of them will be listened to, let me not even go that far. Talk about Frank Sinatra. I mean, I was in the US when I was 14 years old, was listening to Frank Sinatra, and the track that he released as far back as 1930. And then, come to think of it, it's that longevity that you have to seek after. Because 15 years down the road, some of those guys who are megastars today may not be remembered.
Just fizzle, and some are actually fizzling out anyway.
So we really have to begin to look at a way of preserving the music industry. Because part of how it lasts longer is part of preservation.
Do you think you could come under pressure now? I mean, because you know that we'll be releasing more works in the future. Don't you think you could come under pressure to want to like adapt
No.
your music to what we have today, just because
No, I'd
just
say,
to remain relevant?
wait and listen to I call it a bumper harvest of music that I have for you. 14 tracks. It's called Rhythm and Harmony. You can't beat that. When you listen to the package that is coming out, you probably will wonder, am I under pressure? And I'll tell you simply no.
And then are you back for good?
I am back for good. I'm really back.
So after the release, when are we expected to see this 14-track album? When are you
Obviously,
releasing it?
before the end of the year. Our package obviously is to release, like we've just done the Omami and I single, Omonge remix. We are planning to get out another single, which will be a solo works by me.
Okay.
And hopefully, as we get
You'll be
done,
doing more collaborations with other artists?
Yeah, no, I did. On this album, there are a
Okay.
lot of collaborations. I did one even with a younger artist called, she's new, Shay Shay,
Shay, okay.
on Rumba Dance. So expect a lot of great. And then I did a collaboration like We Are the World kind of song. It's called a peace song. It's called Lend a Hand. I did that with older generations as well. On this album, I did collaboration with my contemporaries as well. Raski Muno did a song with me. And I also did one with Alex O, who is also my contemporary. So it's a brand.
Alex, where is he now?
He's somewhere. And then you
Still doing music?
Oh yes, he's
good.
into movie production as well. So he has his hands full. So this album is just a testimony. I call it a testimonial of great project perfection. I'm not a perfectionist, but I seem to sound like one, and I want to prove it.
Do you think you'll face a struggle to make your music relevant and sell?
Well, these days it's even
in the
easier.
current day
You know why I
Nigeria.
say it's easier? With the likes of Spinlet, the likes of we coming into partnership, downloading us across the borders. So if I have few people buying my stuff in Nigeria, that wouldn't say of the rest of the world. So it even makes it better for me that I have a larger means of reaching out. So today's music is different. We've gone viral. And because of that, it is obvious that playing good music can never be less of a sell.
That's quite true. Just before I go, because I'm being wound up. You traveled abroad, came back in one piece. You're looking very good. But
Thank you.
Not so for all, for everyone, especially those who are in the music scene now who are doing very well. People like, I'm just going to mention his name, Majek Fashek, traveled abroad to the United States of America and then come back the same. I mean, what would be your thoughts on Majek Fashek? Have you spoken with him at all?
Yeah, I've met with him also. I think it's to be forewarned is to be harmed. In many cases than one, I think the idea of having bad company, exposed to things you shouldn't do. The music business carries a whole lot of vices. One of them is drugs. And my fear, of course, I've been where if you have to play in one or two clubs, they tell you, oh man, you have to be a sorcerer which will sell out stuff.
Oh, really?
And if you say, yes, okay, then anywhere you go, you find that kind of followership. And it's all for small minds. I see myself as somebody that don't even venture into smoking, talk less of that. So it's sad. Majek was a great star, and I still think he is. Only if there's some kind of miraculous heavenly intervention. I pray for him, and I ask everybody out there to pray for him if you believe in prayers.
Mike Okri, thank you very much for coming on the program.
My pleasure.
I wish you all the best. So waiting for that, the release of that 14-track album.
Yes, I tell you the truth. Rhythm and Harmony.
Rhythm and Harmony it is. And we'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll be talking to someone else on a different issue altogether. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, we're taking a time out on the program, and this is the very first time we'll be doing this, actually. We're taking a time out to speak to some students, university students. As you know, universities across the country are shut down. They've been shut down now for over 1 month because university lecturers are on strike. It's not the first time university lecturers in this country will be going on strike. As a matter of fact, we can't keep count of the number of times they've gone on strike. But the fact is that this strike now, the lecturers have said they're not going to come back at all from the strike until their demands are met by the federal government. And so far they're talking. We do not know when the strike will be called off. So even the students too do not know when the strike will be called off, but they're hoping and praying that the strike will be called off. So I'm being joined on the program now by 3 students from Nnamdi Azikiwe University, actually, from the Department of Mass Communication. Let me start with the guy very close to me here. This is Chibike Okoye from the Department of Mass Communication, Nnamdi Azikiwe University. Ifeanyi Arono, also from the Department of Mass Communication, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, and Salah Sudenze, also from the same department. And let me just say this, that I used to be a student of Nnamdi Azikiwe University some years ago, and as a matter of fact, I was a student of that department. That's the Department of Mass Communication. So thank you guys for coming on the program.
Thanks, man.
Let me start with you, Chibike. You've been in... universities have been shut down now for over 1 month, right? Tell me, because I understand some of you guys were actually in the middle of your final examination when the lecturers decided to down tools. Tell me how you feel about it.
Well, I feel disappointed, and I feel that it's about time the educational sector has a reform, a change. But I think the lecturers don't have a say. Their needs need to be met, but it's all good. We are in this strike period. We have to just be calm.
Is this the very first time since you started school? You've been in that school for about 4 years.
Yes.
Is this the very first time?
This is the very first time. We have a good track record, though, for not going on strike. So this is the very first time.
So you're very unlucky just at the point when you were about to
Yeah,
leave,
I think
the
so.
strike came on. Let me ask you, Ifeanyi, I mean, we've seen students come out in support of the lecturers, asking the federal government to give the lecturers what they want. But do you think the lecturers were considerate enough to have gone on strike just when you guys were in the middle of an examination?
Okay, well, I am not going to talk from the standpoint of just my school, because we have other schools, some have finished exams, and some others have not even started, but ours caught us just at the nick of time. So I wouldn't really say that it's a question of students supporting or not, or some students that are not in support. I would actually say that it's something that ASUU felt was what they had to do at the point.
So what do you feel as a student?
Okay, personally, I feel so probably disadvantaged because of my position. I am supposed to be a graduate by now.
Okay.
Okay, but I am probably an overstayed student already because of the strike. I'm yet to write 3 courses because I wrote 4 actually before it got so bad.
And the lecturers didn't even think they should just conclude the examination. I mean, 3 papers left for you. They probably should have waited for you to conclude those 3 papers before going on strike.
Well, you know, some lecturers were actually pro-ASUU, while some were pro the school management. So we fell into the hands.
So the school management naturally would not want the lecturers to go on strike.
Definitely, because we have the track record. Over a decade of not going on strike. Nnamdi Azikiwe University is just on point. We have been on point till this point, you know, so that's
Okay,
just it.
we never had it on point when I was there. So, Silas, tell me what you make of this strike.
Well,
it must be devastating for you.
Actually, I am, because it's so unfortunate for us to have been part of this strike, because when we started this pursuit in 2009, we were so happy that everybody's coming to Unizik, they don't go on strike. After Unilag, it's Unizik in terms of our preference. But now it just came at the nick of time when we're even writing our project, just thinking that we're going to defend by 26th of July. But before then...
And this is August.
This is August, and some of us were yet to write 3 papers, just like my classmates said. And the lecturers, some of them are pro-ASUU, while some of them are with the school, the school, that's the
school management.
The school management.
But basically they're on strike.
Basically they're on strike, but I think some of the lecturers, they are really doing their best. In fact, some of the lecturers are even supervising us with our project to see that even if the strike is called off, we'll just do our defense and everybody will just...
But tell me, are you worried that up till this moment, because nobody ever thought the strike was going to last this long, and up till this moment the strike has not been called off, are you bothered?
Seriously, it's unbelievable. I can't imagine it, but it's happening. And of course, we're in the real world. We just have to face it squarely to find where it will lead us. But when it started, some of my classmates will ask me, they'll call me on phone and say, if you're on strike, I'll say, how can? You know, so optimistic that we were not on strike. But when I came to school the first day to write exams, and the security was much. We wrote under very, very high security because the school management wanted to ensure that we were safe even while we were writing. Because, of course, it was hearsay. We heard that some people were chased out of the exam halls, actually CP students that finished before us, that they were
When
sent
you say
home.
CP students, you mean part-time students?
Part-time
Part-time
students.
students, yeah.
They were sent home, that they weren't supposed to write the exams because of the strike. But we braved it because we believed it wasn't, how can it happen? This is who we are, you know, non-strike school and all that. We came to school and we found the security. In fact, the school was even encouraging us to, you know, to write our exams, and nothing was going to stop us. But of course, they are our lecturers and they just have to have their say.
They have to have their say. And you would expect, what would you expect the federal government, because they've been talking now, but so far no agreement has been struck. And some people have said, well, the lecturers should probably stick to their guns now to ensure that they get to the bottom of this, that their demands are met, so that we don't have a situation whereby tomorrow they proceed on another strike action. Would you want to see that?
Well, I just think the educational sector needs a restructuring, basically. But I'm not going to take sides with anyone, but I just feel that something should be done. They should reach a truce on something on the issue. But taking sides or saying, okay, the lecturers should forgo their rights and listen to the students or make the students continue with their lectures. I just think that each party should listen to each other and reach a truce on the issue.
Just reach some kind of compromise. Would that be your position as well, Silas?
Well, for me, I think...
or you would take sides?
I think for me, the lecturer, their demand needs to be met, likewise ours, because the...
Yeah, of course, because you need to graduate.
Because I need to graduate, I need to, even the year 1, year 2 student need to study under a conducive environment, so the both sides should reach an agreement, so that we don't have what happened in 2009 when they went for almost 3 months strike. So that's what I have to say.
Well, just like if you said before now, she said if not for the strike by now, you all would have graduated. I'm going to ask you the next question now. People are graduating. Universities are churning out graduates every year, but there are no jobs. Do you fear for your future as students, university students, who will be graduating very soon, and you'll be thrown into an unfriendly labor market? Do you fear for your future?
Okay, I take solace in the fact that we follow after people. If you don't have a role model, you know, in the modern world, then you're headed nowhere. So when we look at people in the media industry, we find that some people are really encouraging. We are all in the media, of course, in the making as well, you know. But when we look at people that have done it by themselves, they have made themselves, you know, they have made a name for themselves and presented themselves to the world, sold themselves by themselves. So I feel it's not something we should be afraid of. Personally, I am not afraid.
You're not afraid?
Yes, because I know that if only I can queue in, look at them, do my own thing my own way, and come up with something, I'll be bought.
Are you not scared, Chibike?
Definitely, I'm
Thousands or millions of youths are unemployed.
I think I'm more optimistic than scared. I believe that others too come out from this same system and make it. So why the difference? Why would I not make it too? So I think.
But would you be disappointed, for instance, or probably at the end of the day get disillusioned if after school, after say 1 year, 2 years,
Definitely,
you don't find a job?
I would be disappointed if I don't get a job, but I think it's in my power to actually create a job for myself.
What about you, Silas?
Well, definitely I'm not afraid, because I think individuals should have an innate talent within them that they need to develop even before they go to school. Yeah, as for me, I've been on different jobs, if I must say, like my classmate here, she does a whole lot of baking and event management. So,
yeah, that's true. You do quite a number of things to support yourselves.
I bake too. I bake.
Oh, you bake?
Yeah, I bake, of course.
That's great. I mean, it's the first time I've seen like
of course.
That's good. And you're making money from baking?
Of course, I bake. While in a home, 2006 to 2009, I baked. I work in a private company, Stella Maris College, Abuja. So I met some few persons there. So I'm not afraid at all.
I mean, it's quite good that you guys are doing something on the side to support yourself. Yeah. Just before we end this, I have to ask you this, because I know it's often a problem I've seen among university students that you go to study a course, at the end of the day you graduate, you don't practice at all. So I have met students, for instance, in mass communication who came in just because that's the only course they felt they could do, and they never had plans to go out and practice. So for you, do you plan to, I'll start with you, Chibike.
Definitely.
Do you plan to practice after school? Especially when you also consider the fact that, you know, the broadcast industry, or let me just put it this way, the media industry is not so high paying as the oil industry, for instance, or telecoms.
Yeah, the oil is very promising. Trust me, the oil is promising. But I think I'm going to practice at least being behind the scenes, like the field work and the rest. But I think I'm going to practice. Yeah, I see myself in broadcasting.
Well, if I know you're doing something. Of course, your department has a radio station. You're a presenter on that radio station.
Yes.
So is this something you intend to carry over to the wider society when you leave school? Do you intend to practice?
Well, of course, I
Or you
don't
intend
know.
to, because I know you also bake as well.
Exactly. But I've tried as much as possible to find a link between the things I do, because I do a lot of other things. I sew,
Oh.
you know. I find myself
You're probably
doing-
going to set up a fashion house too.
Exactly, yes. But all of that need the media to be propagated. So I'm going to just have to find the link, the crucial interface between all these different things that I do. And of course, being a media person, then I'll sell myself easily with ease, you know. So I think I am in the right place, in the right profession at the right time.
That's
and
good.
there's something
Positive.
very remarkable about how I see myself. Beyond now, I'm seeing myself taking a giant stride in terms of the media industry, because I find myself, instead of reading, when I get my books to read, I end up rehearsing it as news, you know?
Oh, really?
Or even presenting programs early in the morning, in the middle of the night. My mom will wake up and keep asking, why can't you go to bed, this girl? And then it's just because I tell myself I'm tired of school. I'm ready to start practicing already. I just can't wait to get out, you know, because I know that it's waiting for me and I want to take it all the way.
You can't wait to get out to Salas?
I can't wait to get out of there because the truth is that I definitely going to practice, but not much of it at all.
Okay.
Because
you do more of the business thing.
not business actually. I definitely like to be in the academia. That's just the truth.
Okay, you want to become a lecturer?
Yeah, academia by the grace of God, because I think that's what I know how to do best. Because practicing the media, well, it could be very hectic, I must say, but
Very hectic.
very
I can tell
hectic,
you
very
that,
very
yeah.
hectic. But being behind the scene, getting all the practical knowledge and dishing out to the students, that's what I would like to do.
I mean, it's so positive. You all sounded very positive. So you're very positive about your future. You don't have any problem at all. You're not bothered at all that the government is not creating enough jobs for people. Of course, you don't expect the government to be able to create every jobs, but jobs are not getting created that much in this country. That is not bothering you at all. You're very positive that you can do your own thing, and that is something very positive. Finally, let me just ask you this, just before we close. How's Nnamdi Azikiwe University now and the department? Because when I was there, Department of Mass Communication used to be very small, but I understand today it's exploded.
Yeah, there's a massive change. It's growing.
You actually have a radio station now.
Yeah, we do.
I
Yeah.
mean, you guys are lucky because we never had that when I was
Yeah,
there.
good luck to us.
Good luck.
We are actually growing, we're growing. And I think we just keep growing because we have the good government, we have people that are positive and they are driven. So I think, yeah, we're growing.
So you guys, I mean, tell me.
Yeah, of course, we have one of the youngest HODs, the youngest so far.
Yeah, she was a lecturer too when I was there.
And of course,
Ifeoma
she's turned the whole place around, and she has done so well for herself. And of course, most importantly, we have Professor Okuna coming back, making her comeback.
Is she coming back?
Yes, she is.
She was the HOD when I was there. Wonderful woman.
Okay,
I
the very
like her.
first female
Love her.
professor of mass communication
Yeah,
in
sure,
Nigeria.
sure,
So
yeah.
she will be back soon, and I'm sure that that's going to make things even better.
Oh, interesting. And
Well,
final thoughts.
just like my other classmates have said, it's really a very huge transformation. If you, even infrastructure-wise, when it comes to our department now, you feel more relaxed. You can even take good, gorgeous picture in our department, and our library is more functional now, if I must say.
We never
because,
had one. During my time.
our library is more
Huge
functional now
change.
because
I envy you guys.
as we started, it was so more like a phone booth where students just come and sit down. But you know, I'm the president of the Association of Mass Communication
Oh, you're the
Students.
president. I used to be the secretary of the association.
So I'm the president, so my colleague will tell you how we transformed the library, the association did, and some other little job. It's so awesome.
Oh,
And
so
the
I should
HOD
say
is
great
so
ASUU.
great.
All right, guys, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you, yeah.
I want to wish you all the best. I wish your department all the best. I passed through that department too, and I know the lecturers in that department are very wonderful. You talked about Professor Okri, a wonderful woman.
Yeah.
Professor
Keto
Keto
Menora,
wonderful too. Dr. Duna, wonderful. She taught me, and it's a good place to be, and it's a
Yeah,
good
it
place
is.
to study mass communication. So thank you very much, Ify, for coming on the program.
appreciate
Silas, thank you.
Thank you.
And Chibike,
Thanks
thank you
for
very
having
much.
us.
Well,
Thank
that's
you.
it on DEJI360 today. We're back again next week. You never can tell who we'll be hanging out with next time. So continue to stay tuned to DEJI360. Until next time, I am Deji Badimasi. Bye-bye.